start us firmly in the city of churches, you and Glenn McFarlane have done a deep dive on the game we are all waiting for this weekend, Port Adelaide and Hawthorn. It is going to close out gather round, but you've gone back to last time they met and sort of where this tension really unfolded.
Oh, tension is an understatement. So carnival, it's supposed to have a carnival atmosphere gather round. It's supposed to be so festive, but you know what? There's almost this feral undertone. So Adelaide, of course, very cranky with the AFL over that missed free kick with Isaac Rankin. But 12 months on or 8 months on, Port Adelaide, it's still seething with injustice about that $20,000 fine to Ken Hinkley after, of course, the airplane stuff with Jack Ginnivan. So we've done the deep dive. A former Adelaide player in Stephen Rowe, he knows the town so well. So we said, OK, give us a mood of what's happening with the AFL. He said in other states there's a different set of rules to what happens in South Australia. When it is the Crows or Port Adelaide, we always seem to get screwed by the AFL. So Sunday night, Corbin, will crackle with tension. So the Hawks have got a free hit. They're still filthy. They're still they're still remembering what Ken did. Don't worry, the players haven't forgotten what Ken did, a Hawks insider told me. Jack Ginnivan has already suggested he might have a special salute or something if they win. And there's an entirely bizarre postscript that could occur. Now, as Stephen Rowe said, if the Port Adelaide Footy Club does win, all the Power fans should fold aeroplanes with their records and send them into the Adelaide Oval breeze as a reminder to the AFL of the injustice. My understanding there with James Sicily, he called Port Adelaide a nowhere club. So this could absolutely get out of control. Corbin, what happens if Ginnivan does the plane salute?
I kind of hope he does. And I hope we do see it.
Or his mate Nick Watson. Don't count him out either.
It'll be tremendous theatre. I think it goes to prove again that you can't sort of promote these games into existence. They have to live organically with the playing group, and that's exactly what this kind of rivalry is. So I love that we got blockbuster footy in what I think is a very underrated time slot, sort of Sunday night, and a huge climax to gather around. Rather than petering out and everybody's footied out by the end of the weekend, it ends on a massive upswing for two teams that genuinely lives with the playing group.
So is it hypocritical of the AFL to say, OK, here's your fine, but by the way, we'll slot this into this Sunday night clash?
We've seen it forever, haven't we? Like I grew up in Perth. The Western Derby was the same thing. Like, remember the scenes of the Demolition Derby and Phil Reid and Dale Kickett going at it. Both got slapped with suspensions. Sure enough, the next time the game rolled around, there were highlights of it everywhere. They're still replaying it nowadays, some 20 years on or whatever from that. So I think it's all part of the theatre, and we need more blockbusters in the game, don't we? Sort of, and this is great that this has become one of them, really out of nowhere.
You can't manufacture them. Ralphie, you mentioned that fine that Ken copped in the postscript of that match. Of course, the incident cost him that pretty 20, as it were. The coaches really backed him over that fine saga, didn't they? And are really still pushing for change all these months later. That's
right. They have united over the summer. There have been a lot of discussions with the AFL Coaches Association over it. And what they want is a set of penalties that are much more prescriptive, rather than just something arbitrary or random where the AFL through Stephen Mead says conduct unbecoming, 20 grand, you've got a preliminary final in days. You can't even really contest it if you Ken Hinkley. So AFLCA boss Alistair Nicholson tells me that the coaches are really strong. So if it's 20,000 for a first offender, what's the second one of the third? Is it 50? Is it 80? The Coaches Association would like suspended fines, first offences, something mandated, so the coaches don't just get caught in the crossfire when there's community standards that the AFL looks to uphold. So this is not Al's point of view, but mine would be that if you're Clarko, 12 offences and you get 20,000 at the start of the year, and Ken Hinkley, a first offender, gets 20 grand as well, I think that's a fair understanding, or a fair undertaking for the AFL to try and consider, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's like, we see it in the tribunal system, don't we, where there's, first offence, and we'll get to a little bit about that player fine stuff later. But I think it makes perfect sense because, as you say, it's almost a catch-all that really has no definition to it. I mean, I'm not suggesting a tribunal matrix because I know how much trouble that's sort of got us into over recent years, but I don't know what your view is, Ralphie. I think it would be fitting.
Couldn't agree more. So a lot of rock star midfielders, a couple of small forwards who are going to spark on Sunday night. No Will Day, though. Massive news. Tell us about it, Lauren.
Yeah, so this occurred this afternoon. So Will Day pulled up sore from a session on Saturday in that foot that was troubled him last year. So he had a scan yesterday that has revealed a stress fracture in his navicular. It's going to see him out for up to 4 months. So I can tell you now that he is having that surgery on the foot right as we sit here right now. He is going under the knife in a move that the Hawks are hopeful will, I guess, try to negate any future issues with this foot that has caused him trouble in the past. I mean, anyone hears the word navicular, we heard Gary Lyon talk about it a little bit earlier on AFL 360, and it really does ring the alarm bells. But I suppose the question now is whether the Hawks can, move forward without him. He's been such a star playmaker for them. He's really added an asset to his game this season with his goal-kicking ability. So I spoke to Dermott Brereton this afternoon, of course, Hawthorn legend, AFL Hall of Famer, the famous 5 day, 5 night. And he's really backing them in. He feels like if it was this time last year, Corbin, while they were still trying to, tinker with their game plan, things weren't going so well. It might have been a little bit more iffy, but now it's sort of next man up and maybe a chance for Henry Hustwaite to get a look at it.
And hopefully enough time and enough runway that he'll come back. So, if he comes back in round 19 or 20, it's far from ideal, but at least they'll have him for the business end of the season. Incredibly, you look at the numbers there. So that's from the start of last year. They win 80% of the time that he rolls out there and plays for them. And then when he's not there, they lose 2 in every 3 games. So it is a significant change when he's on the park and when he hasn't been since the start of last season.
So their best case scenario is 14 weeks. You look at someone like Sam Darcy in 2022. He had a navicular stress fracture in February. He didn't get back to around 22. My understanding, the Hawthorn Footy Club would love it if he played some games before finals, but it's only a hope at this stage.
Yeah,